Adobe stock has done well over the last 5 years. We can see over that time span, it's gone up 71%. That's fine, right? The S&P 500 has gone up about 80% and pays a dividend. So you may say, not super impressive. However, doesn't tell the full story. If we go back to 2014, let's do late 2014, early 2015, 600%, right? S&P 500 has only gone up about 240. If let's just be super generous with dividends, let's say 300%. You're still doubling the S&P 500 performance over the last decade, which is, believe it or not, phenomenal. That is great, right? Yeah, like I mentioned, does not pay a dividend, but that's not a huge deal when you've got the growth that it has provided. And honestly, for a lot of these growth-centric tech stocks, dividend really doesn't matter that much, right? It's just another way to divide value to the shareholders, and with the growth it's providing, we don't really need that. Now, let's look at PE. We can see the PE is 44, just under 45. It is high, right? It is. It's not crazy high. Like, there's a lot of tech stocks, software stocks that are much higher. And with the, like I said, over the last decade or so, if you have a stock that's doubled the S&P 500 performance over the last decade, people are not going to want to sell that cheap. So that explains some of the price point of it. And Ford PE, this is a growing stock, right? We can clearly and obviously state that. We can see every single quarter for next year, at least right now, is expected to be higher. Ford P at 27, isn't quite as crazy because like the S&P 500, I think PE is at 28. So the Ford PE is probably around 22, 23. So that seems a lot more reasonable, the Ford PE, at least compared to the S&P 500 than the PE compared to the S&P 500 is. But it's a fairly reasonable stock. It's definitely on the higher end. If you get a recession, something like that, you're probably going to be hit harder, certainly than like a value stock, right? But it's a risk that you can definitely take. So I think most of you know Adobe does software stuff. We're not going to dive super deep into what they do, but they do all sorts of different stuff. I know Adobe does a lot of, like I said, a lot of different stuff. I think they have a Photoshop thing. I don't know if they do specifically Photoshop, but they do a lot of different products. And I know for design and editing, I'm pretty sure they do a lot of that sort of stuff. But we're not going to dive super, super deep into exactly what they do. This is more just a basic outline of the stock. This isn't quite enough, obviously, to enough to invest, of course, because if you do like it, you should do more research into exactly what they do. This is just a basic outline. But, however, Schwab absolutely adores this company, at least where the value it is relative to how it's going to be. They think over the next year, it's going to be in the top 5% of all stocks performing, which is a great rating. I almost never see, clearly, only 4% of stocks would be higher, but Schwab doesn't give out ratings like this very often. This is their 1-year performance. And they absolutely love it. I don't give 1-year predictions because I don't know. I can look at a company that has performed well and say, hey, yeah, this thing will do well over the long term, 3 to 5 years. However, over 1 year, Schwab really likes it at least. So you got another 4 stars, a wide economic moat. At least according to Morningstar, that's great, right? You love to see it. 4 stars, buy, avoid, buy. 10 out of 10 weighted average key issue score, which is pretty phenomenal. So they really like their ESG score, whatever your opinion is on that. I try not to dive too deep because there is some politics stuff around it, and that's not what this is here for. So yeah, we can see, honestly, it's fairly cheap even considering to where they be, right? 31 Ford PE, 47 PE there, and then right now we got 42 and 24. So it's actually fairly cheap, at least over the last year and a half or so, which is good. Let's see what some analysts have to say. Man, they do not change it, but we got 29 out of 39 analysts saying this is buy or strong buy, 7 saying hold. Looks like 1 dude says underperform, 2 say sell. Not a big deal. I don't take too much stock into what analysts have to say personally. I think it should be factored into the wider picture. If all the analysts are saying, hey, this is horrible, and you love it, or if they're saying this sucks, or if they're saying it's great and you hate it, it's maybe should do some research into why, but generally I don't factor too much in the analysts say. However, this gets a lot of ratings. How do I think of it? I do not own the stock. I wouldn't mind owning the stock. Am I dying to buy it? Probably not. I have a lot of tech stuff, and I'm actually looking to diversify into some value, at least over the coming months. I just put a lot into more tech. So that's where I am personally. However, I do like Adobe. I think in the long term, it'll do fine. Seems to be a good run company. They have a good economic moat. I would need to do further in depth. I know basic products they do. I don't know super in depth. So that's where I am with in terms of buying it right now. But I do think, I mean, what you see clearly is a stock that has performed very well, clearly has good leadership, clearly has something going for it. I think they do a lot of subscription models, which is consistent money. And as an investor, we love that sort of thing. So, but anyways, that's all I got for this video today, guys. If you enjoyed, I'd appreciate if you left a like. It really helps the video performance out. If you've been watching my content or want to check out other content, I'd appreciate if you subscribed. I do daily stock stuff on this channel. You guys have been showing the love with subscriptions lately. I've been gaining them daily, like many per day, which is awesome for me, and it really helps the channel out a lot. Just hitting that subscribe button. Often I get a burst in views. YouTube's like, hey, these guys like it, better send more. But anyways, I appreciate all of you for watching this video. I'll catch you next time.